So injury happens when our body or our tissues get in a point or get in a position in which it's no longer able to support whatever it is that needs to support. And so something gives where the force is so great that it causes the tissue to break. And so what we want to do in terms of our training, in terms of our preparation, is be able to train ourselves to fatigue or to fail while still in position to where you're able to support all the different tissues as you're going into fatigue or as you're going into fail, because that's when the breaks, that's when the injuries, that's where the lacks of performance happen, right? Those don't happen when you're fresh, when you're good. They happen when you're actually like fatigued, tired, or something is off or something is wrong. And so what we want to do with our training is be able to take and put ourselves, or train ourselves to be able to stay in position even as we fail and even as we fatigue. So like practical example of what that means, like, let's say I'm in the bottom, let's say I'm in the bottom of a deep push-up, right? And I'm doing a slow lower deep push-up. And the goal in a slow lower deep push-up is to be able to pull myself into position. So like when I'm down at the bottom, and I'm not fully at the bottom here, but like I'm pulling with my biceps, I'm pulling with my back, I'm not actually feeling anything, and I'm in position there, right? Out of position could be something like, I get here, and then I just like kind of get out of position because this is what I feel, this is what I fatigue to, right? And so what we want to be able to do in that sense is like, even if we're in this position, and let's say we're in this for so long that we feel like we can no longer like stay there, we still want to be in position to where we actually train ourselves to when it feels like the stress or the level of intensity is so high that we can't take it anymore, but we train ourselves to still be in position, right? So that, like, let's say you're going to throw in a game and it's the 150th pitch that you've thrown that day, and like there's some level of tired, there's some level of fatigue, there's some level of reduction of your body's ability to support. We want you to still be able to be in position in the way that you want when you're doing that, so that you can still support yourself as you perform that action, right? So that's like a massive part of training. And something that may be misunderstood about the way that I do things is like, even if we take an impulse, we don't necessarily want to just like impulse, like let's say we're doing an impulse where we impulse forward, right? We're not just trying to impulse any way. It's like we want to impulse in a way in which we're supporting the structures that we're impulsing into, and then we want to be able to maintain that even as we fatigue and even as we fail, so that we literally train ourselves that no matter like how scrunched down into the dirt you get, you're still able to stay in position through that fatigue, through that stress. You're still able to stay in position and support yourself, and that's how we train ourselves to actually be able to handle stress and handle high intensity, handle high loads without breaking or without getting lowered levels of performance.
So this would be an actual example of that, just like a real practical example where the goal was a 90-second hold with 225 here with a little bit of bend in the elbow into a rebound rep with a press back up. And you can see there that I failed the actual rep and wasn't able to press back up at the end, right? But the intention was to have very specific positioning in terms of like I'm supinating in the hands, I'm pulling in with the bicep, and I'm also pulling down with the back, as well as having a certain feeling within my body, like a certain feeling within the middle of my chest, where that is greater than any feeling that I'm having, right? That is the intention of the position that I'm in. And then even though I wasn't able to press back up, like the intent is to still be in that position even as I fail, so that if I fail, I'm still in position, I'm still exactly there the way that I want, so that when I fail, something doesn't slip out of place, right? So it's that awareness of the position of like what is the position that stabilizes the joint, that the muscles act on to stabilize the joint, to keep those in the position that we want them in, and then be able to train that to be able to stay there even in periods of high stress or in periods of failure.